All right, how are you doing this beautiful evening? Good evening to you, and welcome to another of one of those 30-minute impromptu session that we love to have every now and then. All right, welcome on board. If you are here, can you say hello in the comment section? I would like to meet you. Now, I have another interesting topic that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Okay, I was live yesterday and we talked about why children need to start setting goals, right? And we are not leaving it there. We're taking it, up. We're taking it one notch higher, right, to help parents understand that when parents decide to be the systems in their children's life, the child never learns to create a system within themselves. Yes. So when as a parent you are micromanaging your child all the time, when as a parent you are constantly telling them what to do, how to go about it, is your way or no other way, is your way or the highway. So when we are like that as parents, what happens is our children do not learn to create systems within themselves. They do not even learn how to regulate, they do not learn how to navigate on their own because we are the system, right? And so the child doesn't bother, the child just continues, to run on your system because now you have become the system. And this is why we see, or we're beginning to see increasingly in our society, right? We're beginning to see children who are totally dependent on other people. Our children depend, I mean, many of our children depend on people for almost everything. Yes, children depend on people for the physical support. They depend on people for validation. They depend on people to make decisions. That's what we're beginning to see. And this is why you see every child wants to look a certain way, wants to, do a certain thing that everybody is doing because everybody, I mean, they are all looking for validation because somewhere, somehow, they are human beings that have been totally managed all their lives. Now, as parents, we would like to argue sometimes, oh no, it's not exactly like that. But no, I mean, go back, right? Go back as a parent because you can't come and argue some of these things until you can stop and reflect, on the system that you run in your home, or stop and reflect on the system that you have put in place. And a lot of times this begins with, the people that we have in our homes supporting us. Are we saying it's not okay to have people in our homes supporting us? By all means, you can have all of the support staff that you need. But if you don't find a way of, if you don't find a way of still allowing your children go through the processes that they need to go through, if you don't find a way to allow your children build systems or learn how to navigate on their own, you will find out that what you have done is you have either become the system or you have created a system that you are managing through the people that you put at the face of your system. And so children have people who make choices of the food that they eat, who make choices of the things that they wear, who make choices of how they go, when they go, almost practically everything. The only time some of our children get to make certain choices is when they have the remote control and they get to decide what channel to watch. I remember back then when I was, fully in the classroom, there was that incident. I always tell that story, how this child had come to school and you could see clearly that he was wearing two different socks. And I'm not talking about a child that is 4 years old or 5 years old. I'm talking about someone who was in a grade 4 class, right? I'm talking about someone who was about 9 at the time, 10, thereabouts, right? And the child didn't even notice that what he was wearing was totally different. One was absolutely longer than the other, patterns different, everything different. When I called his attention to it, he turned, looked at it, and he said, "Oh my goodness, is it not what my nanny gave me?" So we have, I mean, they have practically relinquished their ability to even reason, right, when it comes to themselves, to whatever it is that my nanny gives me. We've seen endless cases of children getting to school, opening their lunch boxes and becoming very angry, right? Becoming very angry because they didn't have an idea what was in there until they opened the lunch box. What kind of system do we run such that your 9-year old, your 10-year old is not already in the place where they are beginning to make small decisions like this. So this is because choices are taken away from those children, or the children are not allowed, or they are not given or guided to make informed choices. The only time that they make choices is when they, as I said, when they have the remote control, or when they are fighting with one person or the other as far what to watch. It's always around the silliest things. Okay, so if we don't begin to change that trajectory, we are going to be making more and more mess of these children by managing them and being the systems in their lives. And as I said at the beginning, if we don't allow them do these things, practice these things, then they don't get to create systems, or they don't learn to, build systems within themselves that can help them navigate, or help them, direct their own life, self direct. And the question you want to ask is, okay, at what age do I start allowing the child? Now, I'm always talking about children between ages 5 and 10. Now, am I saying your 5-year-old should direct themselves all the way? No. What I'm saying is give them opportunity to start making those little choices now. Give them opportunities while you supervise them, right? Let them take baby steps. Always, always, always. Yes, let them take baby steps. Children will become teenagers, they will become young adults, they will become full adults, and they still do not have systems within them to navigate, simply because they were not taught how to solve problems, simply because they were not taught how to put themselves on the line to stay focused and passionate about a goal, see that goal through to the point of execution. Because we are not doing this, or because parents are not doing this, this is why we are getting more and more of our children in that space where they cannot make decisions for themselves, where they cannot make informed choices, where they're constantly looking over their shoulder for the person or the next person that is supposed to take the lead so that they can follow. That's why we have less and less children who are ready to, step forward and take the lead. We have less and less people, not just children, adults, who are not ready to take the lead. When you ask who is going to lead this group, nobody's interested. Sometimes you reach out to people and you want them to lead, lead a committee, lead a group, and all of that. And everybody is giving one excuse or the other why they cannot. Why do you think that happens? A lot of the times is because we have not been allowed to take the lead in our own lives, okay? Where especially from when we were young. While we were growing up, we were not raised to take the lead in our own lives. And so when we become older, it becomes difficult. It becomes a thing of fear. Most times when people reject those call to serve, it's not necessarily because they are busy. It's not necessarily because they are not kind people. A lot of times it is driven by fear, and that fear is because we were not taught. We were not taught how to make choices. We were not taught how to set goals. We were not taught how to stay on our goals and see them through till the end. Very critical that we start having these conversations now. Even when children venture into certain things, okay, sometimes they will go to school, and in school, right, they will be in school they are mandated, or they are they are convinced to take certain rules. You realize that as parents, we will still bring ourselves into the dynamics. Yes, we will still bring ourselves into the dynamics, and we will try to still control the situation, because of course we don't want our children to fail. Many times we take our children's struggle as our personal struggle. So you are covering the child from shame, you're covering the child from failure, covering the child from anything that is not a success story, because somehow you feel that your child's shame is your shame. Somehow we have concluded that parenting is an egocentric thing. So how well your child does is how much of an ego you should have. Okay, and so how much or more is how well your child does is how much of a pride you should have. And so when they're not doing well, we look for every way and every reason to cover it up. We look for every way and every reason to shield them, so that the world doesn't see their failure, because somewhere in our heads, their failure is our failure. Now, this is part of why we're having all of this all of these challenges because we are constantly in their business. Even when the children decide to try something, you want to take the lead, you want to be the one telling them every step what to do every step of the way. I mean, all kinds of things happened. I remember back then when I was fully in the classroom, it was one inter-house sport, and inter-house sports, and the kids were running. I think it was a 200-meter race or something like that. And I remember a child that was right taking the lead. The child was actually in the lead, and you know how they come from the mark, and then somewhere they're turning and doing the last stretch, the last 100-meter stretch. you know it started to look like the child was getting tired, and the mother, I'm sure it was instinct, as in it was reflex rather, right? Before we knew it, the mother was wearing something like this, like rich auntie kind of thing. Before we knew it, this woman was right in the middle of the field, grabbed her daughter's hand, and she was racing with her daughter to the finish line. Like, she needed to ensure that the daughter came tops. And of course, guess what happened? Of course, the child was disqualified. Like, she pulled the child's hand and she was running, and until I'm sure she didn't even realize what she was doing. Of course, the child was disqualified, and that's practically what happens even in life. When we hold their hands for so long, when we micromanage them for too long, when we, instead of supervising them from a distance and allowing them, to try, when we constantly supervise and constantly put ourselves in their face, that's the same thing that happens. We end up having that child disqualified one way or the other in life, simply because we didn't allow them try, simply because we didn't allow them fail, simply because we didn't allow them set goals for themselves and push themselves to achieve those goals. It's very important that we start seeing these things, the way that they should be seen. All right. Simple systems is what we need to create for our children rather than supervise them overly, or constantly supervising them. What we need to do is we need to put simple systems that will teach our children, simple systems that will guide our children, simple systems that our children have to go back to, make mistakes and go back to over and over and over again, if we want to really raise children who would do well. Okay. Now, what are the outcomes of over supervision? All right. When we over supervise our children, when we when we are constantly supervising them, what are the things that this could lead to? Number one, it would make it hard for the children to take initiative. When you over supervise a child, or you are constantly supervising a child, then you make it difficult for the child to take initiative to do anything, because somewhere, somehow, the child is always looking over their shoulder for you to show up. The child is constantly waiting for you. That is why you go to a lot of our homes and the space is dirty, and each of your children is passing by, because somewhere at the back of their head, it's not my job. They are waiting for the house help. They are waiting, and if there's no house help, they are silently waiting for you to do it. Okay. Christmas season we just finished with the Christmas season, and in many of our homes, the house helps, had to go home to celebrate or something like that with their in many homes, they had to go and celebrate with their families. And so many parents were left with their children, right? That's what we see. That's why when the house helps are preparing to go, parents are shaking and fidgeting, right? Parents are shaking and fidgeting. Even parents that have children who are the ages of the house help, or probably older than the house help, we are fidgeting because somewhere along the line in our heads, it is those helps that, that are supposed to do those things. It doesn't matter that your child is older than the help. It doesn't matter that your child is as old as the help, or is as old as the help was when the help came to be with you. We are still scared of our children. We're still scared of the house helps leaving, simply because we know that our children will not take the front stage and do anything. Our children will not take initiative. So that's why the children walk away and they pass the things that they should do, because somewhere in their head, It's not me. Some other person is going to do it because they can't take initiative. You are constantly doing. You are constantly in their face. You're constantly supervising and constantly micromanaging them. So when this is the case, children find it difficult, right, to take initiative. Or the best you can get is that you are doing all of the instruction. So all of the instructions. So you say, go and put rice in the fire, then they put. When they are done, they come and sit down. Then you be the one to come back and say, is it not boiled? Won't you go and pour it? They go and they pour it. They come and sit down. If you're going through this already, I mean, as we speak right now, be truthful to yourself. If this is your situation with your 10-year-old, even with your 8-year-old, then you need to go back to the drawing board, right? And I'm not saying our children should be perfect. I'm saying if we are still in this stage where we're still going through this, then it means that we still have work to do. I tell that to myself all the time. I still have work to do. So whenever I see the gaps with my 10-year-old, I see the gaps, some gaps with my 16-year-old, I just simply go back to the drawing board. Because what it simply means is that the system has failed the child. The children do not fail the system. The system failed the children when the children are not taught properly. The system failed the children when the children, after being taught, we were not patient enough with them to help them internalize. The system failed the children when, after being taught, we do not help the children go through that system, practice that system consistently until they internalize it. So, as I said, the children do not fail the system usually is what fails the children. So, you need to go back to the drawing board, or you need to go back and see if you are working that system properly, or if you are, applying that system properly. Very important. Number two, interrupts self-trust and self-sufficiency. When we're constantly telling our children to do what to do, when we're constantly micromanaging and over supervising our children, then the children are unable to trust their own ability. Somewhere in their head, the child believes that he is not good enough. Somewhere in their head, the child feels like he is not good enough. Why? Because you have not given them a reason to see that they are good, right? And the truth is, dear parents, it doesn't matter how many times you affirm your children. Oh, you can carry all those affirmations. A lot of us are using affirmations these days. So we come and we read the affirmations, and the children read after us. In fact, you start even using affirmation with them right from when they are 1 and 2. Beautiful. It's very important, right? It's very important that we feel the mindset right. But if you're doing that with the mindset, if you're doing all of that affirmation and you are not allowing the children put their hands to the plow, if you are doing all of that affirmation and you are not allowing the children practice, my dear, ma, sir, it's not working. Working like that, there has to be practice. There has to be practice. There has to be consistency, right? It is only when you win that you become a champion. So if you like, call your child a champion 1,000 times. In their head, they know that they are not champions, because champions have trophies. Champions win contests. Champions win to become champions. So you can call them champions all you want to call. Until they win, that is when they indeed begin to feel like champions. So yes, until the child can do these things, right? All of those affirmations, all of your intentions, all of the motivations are nothing until there is a system that can help the child go through that system, and then the child begins to win, or the child wins in that area. Then the child knows that, something, the child is confident. So the next time you bring a task, the next time you bring a goal, the next time you bring, a challenge, along that line, the child is not afraid to try, because, hey, the child has won before. All right. So I said that yesterday during my session yesterday. I said when the child tries, it starts with when they're young. When the child tries something, or the child sets a goal and then goes through the system that you have put in place for them to, achieve or execute that goal. The child goes through that system and indeed executes. What happens is the child begins to believe in themselves, believe in their ability, believe that they are sufficient enough. And so in the future, when the child sees bigger goals, the child is not afraid to venture. because now the child knows that I have set goals before and I've gone through a process and I achieved that goal. So, yes, the child is able to. That's why we don't have a lot of people who create in this part of the world. It's not necessary just because of the government and the environment. A lot of the times it's because we were not raised, and we were not taught how to make informed decisions, good choices, set goals, go through achieving those goals, achieve them indeed, and enjoy the reward and the feeling of sufficient, of the feeling, of and the feeling that comes with achieving those goals, right? The feeling of fulfillment that comes with it. Because indeed, it is only when you win that you feel like a champion. So that's it. It interrupts the child's self trust and self sufficiency. Number three, it leads to control. Yes, it leads to control, which in turn, of course, creates children who second guess themselves, which in turn create children who are not confident in their ability. So when we are constantly telling them what to do, you realize that when you are not around, the child doesn't know what to do. I mean, this is something the child has probably done over and over and over again. Yet, when you are not there physically present, right, the child is unable to initiate, the child is unable to go through, the child is constantly second guessing themselves. And that's because you have micromanaged them for far too long. Why do you think a lot of us why do you think a lot of us second guess ourselves? Right? I second guess myself for the longest. I don't know about you, but the truth about it is, if you sit down and self-evaluate, some of us have gone through the process of facing our lions and facing our demons and facing, our upbringing and facing our childhood and all that made us what we are today. Some of us have found that time to sit down, and do that. Now we have tracked and we have traced a lot of the things. Now, maybe if you do that, you will begin to see some of the things that I am talking. You will realize that one of the reasons why you second guess yourself is because you were not given the opportunity to actually make informed decisions, do a lot of these things, and trust your ability. One of the reasons why you do this, I remember someone that I know, how the person had gone to school, right, and was writing, was going through a program that, of course, everybody was shouting, oh, it's very difficult, it's very difficult. By the time she was getting to the end of the program, right, she started looking for plan B. She started thinking of plan B. What if I don't pass? What if I don't? Where do you think that voice of what if is coming from? That what if is coming from the fact that this person has been helped for too long. This person has been micromanaged for too long. This person has been saved for too long, right? This person has been, so parents are constantly fixing everything. You fix this for the child, you fix that for the child. You are constantly trying to give the child a perfect life by yourself. You're trying to deliver. You're not teaching the child how to get a good life. You are trying to serve your child with a good life. So you are putting everything in place that will help the child have a good life. And somewhere at the back of your mind, you think that the child is able to lead and sustain that life when you are not there. The child didn't go through the system. You practically handed the child that thing. So when you're not there, the child does not have a template. When you're not there, there is no system to replicate, because the child did not create a system within, right? Because you were micromanaging them. All right. Number 4, when adults become the system, the child automatically cannot create one for themselves. I've said that over and over again. This child stops trying to build a system within themselves. They stop trying. They don't bother. There is no need. Why are you bothering when it is all there? Do you understand? Or when someone will remind you? Why are you trying to wake up when someone will wake you up? Why are you trying to do anything when someone will start it? Why are you even stressing when you know that whether or not you wake up to make your food, someone will make it and they will pack it? Why do you even have to stress to be late or not late when you know that no matter the time you are done, someone will be there waiting to take you? So, of course, There is no need to push. There is no need to, there's no need to worry yourself. Okay, that's it. All right. So now let's talk about what systems look like to a child. Right? What does a system look like to a child? A system is a silent teacher. Is a silent teacher which doesn't shout at the child, doesn't criticize the child. It allows the child to make mistakes again and again, and it becomes to the point that that system becomes the child's internal compass or GPS. So, a system is a silent teacher that does not judge your child, that does not criticize the child, that is patient with the child and allows the child go through it over and over and over again, to the point that that system becomes your child's internal GPS or your child's internal compass. So that's what a system is. So, as I said, children do not fail systems. It's we who help them or who introduce those systems to them. If we don't help the child to understand the system, if we don't help the child to practice, right, and internalize the system, then the child will not have that compass or that GPS within the child, because the child has not been given the opportunity or the support that they need, right, to internalize that GPS, to internalize that system to the point that it becomes a part of them, to the point that it becomes their default. So this is why our children, a lot of our children struggle for the longest, because this is not served, or this is not, I mean, they are not introduced to this system. All right. What do systems look like? Systems look like routines. Systems look like routines. In your home, you have a routine. You have a morning routine. You have an afternoon routine. You have an evening routine. That's what system looks like. So in the morning, your children are not second guessing, or they are not confused. They know what is supposed to be. From this time to this time, this is what we do. This is time we wake up. This is when we go to the bathroom, right? So whether you are there or not, that system is the GPS. Whether you're there or not, the child does not need to be micromanaged. The child knows what to do because there's a system that has been created. So the child knows this is where morning routine starts, and this is what should happen at the end of my morning routine. After school, the child comes back and the child knows that this is what my afternoon routine looks like. This is where it starts, and this is where, So that's what system looks like to a child. Systems look like charts. The charts that you create, okay, the charts that you should create, that your toddlers, especially your young children and toddlers, all right, being able to create that pictorial chart, or being able to create that chart or that table that your children can look at and say, okay, Monday, this is what I'm supposed to do. Tuesday, this is what I'm supposed to do, at this time. So when you have that chart, that's why when you go to classrooms, you go to schools, because schools are systems, all right? Schools are run with systems. So the best schools are the schools that have the most solid system, that everyone, the teachers, the children, the management, and everyone has learned to, master and follow that system through. So when you go and you're looking for schools for the children, and they keep telling you, oh, they come tops in WAEC and all of that, well, no, if that's what's driving you, you're not looking for what you are supposed to be looking for. What you're supposed to be looking for is, what system do they have in the school? What system drives the school, right? What are their values? What kind of system do they have, right? And of course, what's the mission here? These are the things you should be looking at in a school. Very important that you're looking, what system do they have? How well do they adhere to those systems? How much do the people in that system respect or follow that system through? That's what you should be looking at when you're looking for a school. So that's what it looks like, the chart. So when you go into their classroom, you see they have their timetable. So the timetable is pasted somewhere, and the children know per time what they're supposed to be doing. That is system. So this is why we all believe in school system. We believe in school. We take our children. It's as if when you say, oh, my child is homeschooling, some people look at you like, okay, are you in this world? You're not supposed to, oh, it's wrong and all of that. Because somehow there's a narrative that has convinced us that because the school has got a system, then the school is what our children need. So if we know that and we believe in schools because of the system, why then are we not creating systems in our home? If systems are that reliable, if systems are that good, if because a system is is good, you are ready to spend millions of naira to get your child in that system, because all that is going on in the school is a system that is in place. So the system is in place, and so because the system is in place, it is easy for concepts to be taught to the children. Because the children are well mannered, the children are a certain way, then it means that when the teacher comes in, the children are going to pay attention. So a lot of times when you see some of these schools that people talk about, especially secondary schools, right, that people talk about, there are some schools that are held in high pedestal, these are the good schools and all of that. A lot of times, go back, drill in and check. You realize that these are schools that have mastered their system over the years. So the systems have become so solid and so big that even the individuals who come into the school cannot be bigger than the system. So you find that even rich parents or parents who have a lot of, that like to disrupt systems, they come in and they cannot shift the system, because these people have learned how to perfect their system to the point that parents, individuals, children, no matter how your head is strong, you can't come and disrupt their system. So the system is bigger than everyone. Even in the countries, some of us, Nigerians and Africans, we are there. Everybody wants to jackpot. Why are we jackpotting? We are jackpotting to places where the systems have become bigger than the people, right? The system have become bigger. So somehow that you are protected. Somehow that, okay, no matter what, yes, nowhere is perfect, but at least I'm in a place where if something happens, at least I know my rights, and my rights will be respected, and all of that. We're hoping it's still like that everywhere. All right. So basically, it's the system that you trust, not the fact that this person or people will welcome you, but you know that there is a system that will protect you no matter the kind of people that you meet. That's why you believe in these places, and that's why everybody wants to go to those places. Do you understand? So if we understand that systems are this important, why aren't we creating them in our homes? Very key, very important. The next one is system looks like visual tools that we have. So that's why when we created the goal setting and visualization kits, right? We have lots and lots. We have up to 10 different resources, tools right there that are visual tools that can help you monitor the child's growth and all that. That's what systems look like. What you can look at and see how you're growing. What can represent your growth. That's what system looks like. Those charts that you can use and say, oh, okay, I started here. This is where I am at. That's what systems look like to your child. Very important that you have that. If not, it is vague. It is random in the child's head, and the child doesn't know what you're talking about. They don't even know when they are winning. So that's why even in schools, you see trophies, you see honor roll, you see all of those things. There are systems that have been put in place so that the child can see, or the child can measure their process or their progress, basically, and see, something that represents, a reward for their efforts. So that's where all the, trophies and results and honor roll, that's where all of that comes from. All right. A system looks like support and expectations, where you support the child until the child understands, and can go through that system, and internalize the system. Okay, system is the child fails and you're there to say, something, you failed, it's all right, nobody has, we can jump right back and we will continue. That's what a system looks like. A system looks like the child wakes up and he has responsibilities. He has responsibilities. He knows that this is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do, right? The child knows that, okay, I have a vision. These are my goals. And this is how I'm going to go about achieving that goal. And I'm going to stay there. This is what I'm doing every day. This is what I'm doing every week. This is what I'm doing every month. That's what system looks like. It looks like responsibility. Systems look like support and consequences also. All right, so that's what a system looks like to your child. Okay, as we wind down, I'm going to be sharing how to create those systems. How do you create systems in your home? Number one, you want to introduce system slowly but surely in your home. So introduce them as early as possible, right? Introduce them from the word go, from day one. It doesn't matter how young your child is, introduce systems. So introduce the system gradually and be patient with the child. That's how you introduce systems in your home. Number two, model your expectations to your child, right? So you introduce the system and then you model how you want or what is expected of the children. As I said, children do not fail systems. The systems fail the children when the children have not been taught how to, or they've not been taught how to go about that system properly. They've not been taught how to use that system properly. So no, children do not face system. So when you find out that your child has not internalized something, or your child is not doing what you have taught them to do over and over again, I know it can be tough. It can be tough for all of us, even for me, all right? It can be tough. But if we can get ourselves to that place where we understand that the reason this is not happening is because the child has not internalized that system. Yes, you have a system, but the system is not yet your child's compass. The system is not yet your child's GPS. So yes, the child will still lose his way. The way you are driving, and then you lose the way because you don't know where you are going to, because you've not internalized the path, or you've not internalized the route to the place where you are going to. So you lose track at some point, but what does the GPS do? It still reroutes you back on track because you have an external GPS. So that's how it's supposed to be in the life of our children. Allow them, right? Stay, in the corner and allow them. But when when they lose track, then we reroute them patiently, back to that system. Very important. Okay, so we model the expectation. Now we practice consistently. Very key. Practice consistently, right? So that's why when you have routines, when you have a system that you have put in place, what you need to do is ensure that you are practicing. You're going through that system over and over again. So the structure that you have put in your home must consist of systems that you are going through, or that you're practicing, the children are going through, over and over again until they internalize them. So don't teach your children one, two times, a few times. Okay, yes, you have done it longer than that, and the child is still not getting it. It means that you still need to go on. That's what we are trying to say. Okay, consistent repetitions, very important. Now avoid emotional reactions while you are at this. Very tough, very difficult. That's why emotional intelligence cannot be overemphasized. Coach Wendy Ologe is actually having, it's that time where we have the emotional intelligence, because I have been a student of emotional intelligence for the past 5 6 years, right? And it's an ongoing concern. You cannot stop. It's a life thing, right? Because you will go and then you will conquer your emotions in certain areas, right? And just as she would say, some of us we have learned some of these emotional reactions for 20, 30, 40 years of our lives. So no, you're not going to peel it off, and you're not going to bounce out of it, unlearn it in 1 year, in 2 years, even in 6 years. Something that you arrange for 30, 40 years of your life. It's not going to go away that easily. But are you trying? Are you making the effort? Are you trying? Are you making the effort? Okay, so you have to try. We have to keep trying and making the effort. A lot of times, sometimes I go off. I apologize to the children and I say to them, I'm a work in progress here. I'm not afraid, right, to say so. I'm a work in progress. All right, so we bounce back and we go back. So if you are not in that place where you can apologize to your children after you also lose your GPS or you go off track, then something is wrong. All right, so you need to go back to the drawing board. So very important. All right, the next one is help them to manifest. Okay, you will help themselves, help them to manifest and all of that. Right now, how do you now help? So we've looked at that. So you have to also set expectations. Yes, set expectations for them. Don't ever say, all right, so it's two different things: micromanaging, and over supervising them is different from setting expectations. You've taught them, you've done all of that, you have built consistency. Now let them know what is expected. Let them know what is expected. Now Knowing what is expected doesn't mean that they are not allowed to make mistakes. Okay, mistakes will still come in here and there, but hey, make sure that their expectations, because it's the expectations that make them know when they have fallen short. It's the expectations that bring in the consequences, all right? Because this is the expectations. And when we say consequences, consequences do not always have to be negative. There are positive consequences, there are negative consequences, there are consequences that just simply means, or natural consequences too. All right. So it simply means when you fail, what do? You get up, you dust, and then you go back. That's a consequence. Okay. So consequence could be positive, they could be negative, and all of that. So finally, what we're looking at is, how do you help your children, manifest eventually when they have learned and all of that. Right now, what you want to do is you want to get them into the place where they set goals for themselves. All right, get children to set goals for themselves. And this is why I've spent the last 3 months, November, December, even January, I'm here still shouting like John the Baptist in the wilderness. Dear mommies, dear daddies, let your children start setting goals. Let them set goals. We even went ahead and we had a free, for like a whole month, we had a free registration for parents who want to get their children into our vision workshop, where we will teach the children how to set goals and how to create systems that will help them achieve those goals. We did that, all right? Now we had early bird that people joined us, at some point, for 5,000 naira. But for a whole month or 6 weeks, we had that course open for free. All right. Now, you can get a replay of that, vision workshop. If you were not there, you can get a replay of that vision workshop for a token of just 5,000 naira. It has, we have, the lessons are robust. We have 4 different sessions. You can have all of those sessions. A powerful parent session where we had, three experts, in the panel session and all of that. So you can get all of that if you get a replay of the vision workshop. Now, if you say, okay, I know what to do, I don't need to, and you need a kit, you need something to help you support your children to set goals effectively and create all of these things that I said, that goal and routines, that systems should look like, right? So we have, as I said, we have 10 different resources in that kit that your children can use to set goals, monitor their goals, set systems that will help them achieve the goals. You can also get that for a token of just 3,500 naira. You can order that. So we'll have all of these in the comment section, and you can use that to get any of them. And then if you actually need a long-term support, which is what every parent should have, right? You actually need someone or a system that will work with you, right? And your child will work with your child directly, partnering with you. Then you need to get your children on board our mentorship and accountability group. In this mentorship and accountability group, what we sell the most is consistency. So we put the children in that place where all of this is being delivered, right? We are introducing them, right, to all of these things we've talked about. We introduce them to all of these things. Okay, we also get them into the place where they begin to set goals, and then we create systems, and then we hold them accountable, and we are consistent in that system. And you have access to us as a parent just because your child is in that system. We have a system where we're able to sit with the child every quarter to look at the child's progress and recalibrate, and then go back again, and all of that. It's such a robust system. And we don't just bring, we don't just bring mentorship to the children, we bring an identity to the children. If you really want to transform a child, give them an identity, help them create an identity for themselves. So we let them know that they are mastermind, and there is what it means to be a mastermind. So it's such a powerful community that every child age 5 to 10 needs to be a part of. So if you also like to be a part of the mastermind circle, we have our foundation cohorts beginning in 4 days time, only 4 days time, and your child can go on a journey with us right till the end of, for the next 8 months, right? Our foundation cohort runs from January to August, because we start a full cohort of the mastermind circle every September, because the mastermind circle is a foundation school. Just the way the children go to school, they come to you know um the mastermind circle as a foundation school. All right, so yes, you want to take advantage of all of these opportunities and all of these amazing resources that we have created to help your child, right, move from being constantly managed to the child working with systems, so that the child can create systems within them. Thank you for joining me. If you're catching the replay, let us know where you're catching the replay from. All right. And if you have any questions, drop them on the stream and I will do well to answer them. If you would like to have any of these resources or be a part of the mastermind program, you have the links in the comment section, or you can reach out to us directly by sending us a DM or sending us a text message on 0813062156, and we will be there to answer you and let you know what's next, what next you can do. Thank you again for joining me. It's 45 minutes and I'm signing out. My name is Maribeth Chima, yes, and I am that children's coach that you don't know that your child needs yet, or your child needs me. Have